Hello all, I'm Josh, this is Josh Build Stuff, but today you can call me Discount Dr. Jones. Whip sound! I'm gonna put that away before I end up with a scar on my chin, which somehow would make me even more handsome. But more on the real Dr. Jones in a minute. Today we're talking about the all-new LEGO Indiana Jones Temple of the Golden Idol set. This set was just released in April 2023. It contains 1,545 pieces and costs $150 here in the US. As someone born in the 80s, I love Indiana Jones. He's the coolest character named after the lamest state. No offense to my Midwest viewers out there. This set beautifully depicts in diorama form the first scene in the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is our introduction to Indiana Jones as a character, as a franchise. Indy has to navigate his way through this temple of the Golden Idol, past obstacles and booby traps to obtain this Golden Idol, but things don't turn out the way you would think. More on that later, unless you've seen the movie, then you kind of know how things will turn out. This set is a home run in my initial opinion, and today we're going to cover all the bases. We're talking minifigures, details, play features. We'll even do a comparison to the original version of this set because this scene has been made in LEGO before. But first, let's briefly swing backwards in time from our whip that we're swinging from currently and talk about the history of Indiana Jones very briefly, because this is the resurgence, hopefully, of the Indiana Jones theme. We have not seen any Indiana Jones sets in 14 years. That was 2009. 2009 was 14 years ago? Ooh, that'll make you feel old. Kind of like watching your favorite actors that you grew up with aging and still playing the same roles that they were playing when you were a child. But LEGO has brought back the Indiana Jones theme in a big way, assuming you consider dioramas a big way. But this set is big and beautiful, and I can't wait to talk to you about it, so let's get rolling. Like the big ball? Let's get rolling. More on that later. First, let's talk minifigures. LEGO has given us a great lineup in this set, starting of course with the man himself. It's Dr. Indiana Jones. This Indy figure gives us everything I think we could hope for in an Indiana Jones figure. The hat, the whip, the satchel are great accessories. This figure, his printing is actually very similar to the printing of the figures from 14 years ago at this point, which is nice to see, but I think this version is just a little bit cleaner. Indiana, keep it down. We named the dog Indiana. I have a lot of fond memories of that dog. Next up is Satipo, Jones's trusty companion, until he betrays him almost immediately. Luckily, Indy doesn't make a habit of befriending those who can't be trusted, except for in every other movie in the franchise. He really should have taken Walter Donovan's advice more seriously. This figure in reality isn't the most interesting. I like the spider details on his torso, I like his facial expressions. Other than that, I don't like him as a character. Luckily, Karma catches up with him almost immediately, and he goes the way of Forrestal. And much like all forests, he doesn't make a sound when he falls straight into the spike trap that he passed like minutes earlier. We also get Belloc in this set, who's snappily suited for the safari in his outerwear. He's a conniving French archaeologist who may be one step behind Jones in fashion, but he's one step ahead in stealing the things that Indiana Jones just rescued from the temple. Remember, he's like the anti-Indiana Jones, so he's like the California, if that's, what's the anti-state to Indiana? Doesn't matter. The figure is kinda boring. I like his hat. I like that he actually is included with a gun. We don't see that much these days, but apparently we get Indiana Jones sets, we get real guns and military vehicles, but that's a different set for a different day. And finally, we get a Jovitos Warrior minifigure. Usually my favorite flavor is nacho cheese, but if we're talking about the drink, I don't love the mint in it, but I do love this figure. I don't believe we've gotten a Jovitos Warrior figure before. I think he's accurate from top to bottom, literally. But this is a cool figure overall. I love the printing, I love the inclusion of the bow, and I just love the inclusion of a native people, no matter how fictional the native people are, or how much they're shooting poison darts and arrows at our boy Indy. Let's journey alongside Indiana through this temple, and we'll talk details and play features along the way. We enter through a tunnel in the jungle laden with vines. I love the theming here. We kind of see that same theming throughout with this bluish tile thing, foliage all over the place. We enter the first chamber. It's cave-like, stalactites, stalagmites, one going down, one going up respectively. And this, if you remember, is the spider scene. Spiders don't faze Dr. Jones. Good thing he didn't fall into a big pit of spiders when fighting people on a circus train. That man developed a lot of his origin story in one day. We continue on, passing beneath a strangely spherical boulder, but we're ignoring that for now, into a room full of beams of light. But don't walk into those beams of light because those will somehow activate spike traps coming in from the sides. That's what got Forrestal those years ago. Remember we mentioned that guy? Well, he's still here, represented, I believe, by this little skeleton. But pausing for a moment just to think before we swing across this large pit using our whip. The fun thing about a lot of the play features in this set, obviously a lot of the mechanics have to run underneath the base of this set because they're all controlled by the wheels on the front of the set, but if you spin this set around, a bunch of those Technic bits are exposed in the back, which I love. Almost makes this feel like a movie set where you get to kind of peek behind the scenes, but honestly it's just so cool to see the functionality displayed in the back, and the functionality gets very cool when we get further into this temple. So let's continue on. We use our whip to swing across this gap. Here we have Satipo. Indiana Jones calls him Sapito at one point, but we have Satipo swinging across that gap. He's using a brown stick in this case, which I assume is meant to represent the whip fully extended, but in any case, we swing across the gap and now we're on to the other side. But we pass a cool round golden art thingy that it's in the movie, so it's cool that it's also here. And then we are through that middle section of the diorama. So here we see a bunch of those triangular plates. I believe those are probably more likely the pressure plates that you step on. That's where those plates will shoot out a bunch of poison darts from the faces on the wall, which, I mean, let's pause there for a second. Mostly to not step on any of those pressure plates, but also to talk about those faces on the wall. Those are so fun. Some represented in sticker form. There's even some like Easter eggs in those stickers. At least one of them's a Lego guy. I think one of them's like, it looks like a native from a different older Lego theme, but like there's a bunch of the brick built little faces. Honestly, that just makes me feel like the designers had a ton of fun making this set. If you ask which designers were working on it, I would say top men. If you say who, I would say top men. Also because I didn't look up the designer of this set before this review, but here it is on the screen. Anyway, we're in that final chamber. Don't get distracted by the fun faces on the wall. They're not actually that fun. They shoot out the darts. Remember we talked about that? And we see, illuminated in front of us, the golden idol, the fertility idol, if you will. A beautiful, soon to be very expensive Lego piece. And here's where we find Dr. Jones holding his sack of sand. Being a good archaeologist means being able to accurately guesstimate the weight of things you're trying to not steal, rescue from temples. As Jones takes that idol, it triggers a 3-part play feature, which is maybe one of my favorite play features of any Lego set in a very long time. Again, everything happens from one little knob on the front of that set, but that one knob triggers 3 things. You turn it a little bit, you feel a little bit of resistance, that turns on the light brick on the top. You turn it a little more, you feel the idol starting to lower. That's pretty cool. Then you turn it its final little bit, and just like in the movie, the wall of the temple, the big face starts to collapse and falls in on Jones. So cool. All of that done with one little wheel. And if you look at the actual mechanics happening in the back here, I built the thing, I can't even tell what's going on. The designers of this set, as previously stated, top men. We've got that golden idol. Now it's time to head back out of the temple, probably quicker than we came in, because remember the whole thing is collapsing around us. We get back to the gap. Satipo is still swinging on there for some reason. He's on the safe side of the gap. The door behind him is closing. Remember we were going to talk about that door? We didn't get there yet, but the door behind him is closing using this other little wheel. We have to get across the gap. So you throw me the idol, I throw you the whip kind of thing. That brings me to the quote on the front. I know I said we're gonna go faster out of the temple, but there's a quote on the front of this set. Some people don't love that quote. I don't think I love quotes in general, depending on the quote, but I don't love that quote on the front. I'd rather it be the quote of, you throw me the idol, I throw you the whip, because it's like that was in the heart of the tension of the moment. Anyway, Indy throws Satipo the idol. Satipo does not throw Indy the whip. Satipo leaves through the door. Indy jumps across the gap. He didn't need the whip in the first place. The whip was inside him all along. But no, now he rolls under the door just as it's closing, reaches under the door, grabs his whip, and brings it through. And now we're back into that first room of the temple. This is when Indy looks up behind himself, and now we address that knob we didn't address before, and we turn it a little bit, and oh, that ball rolling motion, it's just so smooth. Again, that Technic moving mechanism is all exposed in the back. It's beautifully simple, and the boulder itself is beautifully simple and somewhat spherical, which is the best you can ask for with a Lego sphere. So we run past that bouldering boulder. Oh, a verb and a noun. That's fun. We run past that boulder back out into the safety of the jungle only to be met by Belloc and his friends the Jovitos warriors. As I'm sure you could tell, up until this point I've been completely objective and have not shared my opinions on whether or not I like this set. So here is my review portion. I like this set a whole bunch. 10 out of 10. Indiana Jones is the best. This set is the best. Make a million more Lego Indiana Jones sets. Just not that many and not that expensive because there's already a lot of themes that I'm buying from, but this set is worth picking up for sure. Lego has come a very long way from where they even were in 2009. But first, my likes and dislikes of this set while we're here doing some kind of review. My likes. Everything I've said positive about this set so far. Displayability, playability, minifigures, all the cool stuff about this set. It's all great. If I'm commenting on the design, which I now am, there's a beautiful blend of this kind of randomness of rock work and incongruity and non-symmetrical bits in this set, and yet it all still comes together. It all is tied together by the common colors, and again, some of that tiling we see throughout, and the cool, fun faces and flooring all looks the same. There's this foliage covering the set. A lot of these palm leaves are kind of extending out beyond the edges of the black borders of this diorama. I think it all comes together, and it's beautiful on the eyes and on the hands. It's not so beautiful on the wall at $150. I recognize is price prohibitive for a lot of people, but for big fans of the franchise and of Lego, it's worth picking up. My dislikes. Well, a lot of the play spaces are kind of small. You can't really reach your hand through to access this little door piece because you'll knock over spiderwebs and stalactites and stuff. But I don't think they expect you to be playing with it a lot. I think it's like you show off the play features like I just did, and then mostly it sits on a shelf. Also kind of a weird dislike. I wish these three parts of the diorama came apart so you could kind of display them separately or like move them around a little bit. But when you bring the three together, they do get connected with bricks across them, so you can't really easily separate them. You could, but it's not designed to do that. An even weirder dislike. There's no Jock in this set. Jock was Indy's pilot. He had a plane. They escaped in the plane. He had a snake in the plane. Oh, is that where they got that movie from? We're getting distracted. It would have been cool to have the seaplane included here. Obviously, because this is a diorama, there's not really much room for accessory pieces, but we got it in the last version. We didn't get it in this one. Let's look at the last version after I tell you my last dislike. Looking at this big ball here, I really dislike that I've never seen the big ball rolling effect in person on the Disneyland ride, the Indiana Jones ride there. I've only ridden it once, and the big ball has been broken the only time I've ever been on it. That was a bit of a bummer. The big ball on the Lego set, it works perfectly. Figure it out, Imagineers. As I said before, this is not the first time Lego has made this scene in Lego. They made a Temple Escape set back in 2008. It was called Temple Escape. The name was simpler, and the set was also simpler. It wasn't a diorama, it was more of a play set. It had a bunch of the same features of it does here. It had a lowering idol, it had a rolling ball, it had some other fun little play features, but it also included Jock's plane because it was a play set, and it included Jock as a minifigure. Also, it also included Jock's snake on Jock's plane. I have a personal love for the character Jock because if you can't tell, I love Disney parks things, and there's actually a restaurant in Disney Springs in Florida called Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. It's based on the actual Jock Lindsay, the pilot from this. It's supposed to be like his bar, and there's a weird tie-in to a secret society of explorers and adventurers, SEA, and that's tied into the Jungle Cruise, and that's tied into other rides and other Disney themes throughout the Disney parks around the world, and it's just cool that that one character gets a tie-in, and now I'm sad that I don't get that character in this set, but I understand. But lucky for us, we don't have to buy old Indiana Jones sets because Lego is coming out with new Indiana Jones sets currently. Hopefully they continue making more in this theme. I don't actually know how large this theme is supposed to be as a comeback. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. As for me, I love the couple of sets they've made so far. I hope Lego makes a large diorama like this of every single movie that's come out. Sure, even that one with Shia LaBeouf, which I watched that movie yesterday. That's how excited I am about Indiana Jones again. But if you shared my excitement for all of this, even just fractionally, do yourself a favor and go out and pick up this set. You won't regret it. This set is so good, it belongs in a museum of other Lego sets and stuff like it. Like, it's not literally a work of art, but like if there was a Lego museum, this should be in there. And if you share in any of this excitement, well, let your excitement be known by leaving a comment down below and maybe a like on this video. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Dr. Discount Dr. Jones, or whatever I said at the beginning of this video, and I'll see you next time. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, Satipo doesn't throw him the whip, Indy does throw him the idol. Anyway, Satipo doesn't throw Indy the whip, Indy does throw Satipo the idol. Anyway, Indy does not throw Satipo. Anyway, Indy throws Satipo the whip. Satipo does not throw. Anyway, Indy throws Satipo the. Indy throws Satipo the idol. Anyway.